What's going on, and welcome to your bonus casual gaming conversation for this week. I'm one of your hosts this evening, the best gamer in Co-op 64, Nikki Two Shoes, Nikki Ops, and alongside me, we do not have Connor. We have our good buddy Jacob Stevens joining us. Jacob, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. Very tired, but I'm well. Appreciate you having me.
Dude, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for working with the insane schedule of this week, man. It really means the world. Your communication, your professionalism. It really does mean a lot from me and the team to even have you on something like this because this is a fun one. This was a Patreon goal. This was something that we put out there at the start of the month of August or end of July. And we said, hey, if we hit 375 paid members on Patreon, we will do a Spoilercast for Hollow Knight. This was before Hollow Knight had a date. This was before I knew I had to beat Hollow Knight really fast. This was before a
Yikes.
lot of things. And so surely enough, we put that out there and we're like, we're going to try to get it done. The second Hollow Knight song got announced. I was like, oh shoot, because I'm going to try to beat it as fast as possible. And I did. I tried. I beat it as fast as I could. Took up every gaming moment I had except for an hour and a half of Mafia, trying to start up Delta, just a couple other things bounced around. But it was a lot of Hollow Knight the past couple weeks. But truly from the bottom of our hearts here at Co-op 64, thank you for supporting us over on Patreon. If you want more cool, fun, exclusive content, go over to Patreon. It supports the team. It's the way we keep the lights and mics on. It allows us to do cool, fun shit like having Jacob on for this podcast. So first and foremost, before we get into talking about Hollow Knight and all this, Connor, if you want to hear him talk about Hollow Knight, we have so many videos of Connor talking about Hollow Knight. There's what we've been playing. There's just general impressions that are out there. There's hot takes out there. Connor has talked about Hollow Knight so much in the past year since beating that game on stream. And he was like, give Jacob a ring. Because the people, obviously, they've heard you a lot if they watch your content, which a lot of our audience does watch your content, have heard you discuss Hollow Knight. But we're bringing in the expert to some level. We're bringing in somebody that loves Hollow Knight more than I love probably the New England Patriots, which is saying something. Exactly. The shirt speaks for itself. So yeah, this was an obvious one. This was something that right when Connor said that, I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then we hit the goal on, I want to say Tuesday, and then I've been talking to you say all yesterday and all today, make sure we can get this scheduled and get it out to the people as soon as possible. So we are shooting this on Silksong release day, but we're going to be focusing on Hollow Knight 1 with this podcast. Once again, thank you for being here. Thanks for listening, and thanks for enjoying this. This one also, with all of our Patreon goals, the goals are always to put it out there for everyone. So this is bonus podcast that you're going to get on YouTube, Spotify, everywhere you get the Co-op 64 podcasts, whether it's casual gaming news, conversation. It's going to be up on that feed. So let's get into it, my friend. Let's start with you and let the people introduce yourself to the people if they don't know. You've been on a couple of Patreon pieces of content, and obviously you have a massive following where you do on your socials. But for the people that don't know you, just quick elevator pitch: who is Jacob? And then what is your pitch on why you're on this podcast? Why is Hollow Knight important to you? What is your history with this game?
Yeah, definitely. So again, Jacob Stevens do very similar review stuff. I cover slight news-ish stuff, but it's mainly like review. Like I like talking about video games. Like even if I'm like talking about news, it's just like I go with the angle of like it's like I'm talking about with my buddies. When I see something drop, I want to talk about it. This is what I do. But a lot of review style content, very similar kind of feelish to you guys, obviously at a different degree. But yeah, I mean, I guess you would invite me here, hopefully, because I am just the straight Hollow Knight glazer. There's no other way to put it. When I first started making content, I think I've been doing it for like 2.5 years now, something like that. I was heavy on Hollow Knight videos, like pretty early on, like just chatting about it. It came up all the time, and I would get so many comments. They're like, bro, you got to give it a rest. Like you've talked about Hollow Knight so many times. And but I just, yeah, I love the game. Um I've been I want to say I started kind of building somewhat of a reputation online as like the indie guy. I've kind of it's hard to cover everything. There's a much better guy at it now who does like strictly indie content, but I still have a big passion for it. I cover a lot. I get a lot of big review codes from big people. So it's harder sometimes to get to the small stuff, which kind of sucks, unfortunately. But Hollow Knight's just one that hit, man. Me and my buddy, my brother-in-law recommended it to me back in like 2017, and I was like, oh, okay, like let me give it a shot. Same thing, instant hit. I've been playing it since. I got the platinum trophy, so which required me to do all 5 pantheons, which is, if you don't know, you have to beat every single boss in the game in a row without dying, and it's like the absolute versions of each. It's the harder ones.
Oh, real quick, we're spoiling the fuck out of this game. So if you,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
like
yeah,
I just want the audience to understand. It says Spoilercast. I should have said this at the start.
yeah.
Everything
That's
is on
fair.
the table. Everything is
That's
on the
fair.
table. Sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to let, like, if
No, you're
someone's like,
good.
"What's that?" or "How far
Yeah,
are we going into this?" It is
definitely.
everything that is in Hollow Knight One, and I would even say trailer stuff for Silk Song.
Yeah,
Like, we're
yeah,
talking about
definitely.
Hollow Knight, big topic, all in. I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
Yep.
I just wanted to warn the
No, you're
audience.
good,
But
man.
yes, continue on. You went through
No.
the
No,
all 5 fights in the Pantheon,
yeah,
correct?
so yeah, just like I became obsessed with the game. I love smaller studios. And it's like the idea that's like there's 3 people at this core, and that's not why this is a good game. A lot of us talk about the value of Hollow Knight. How it's created by a small team, but like those aren't what makes it good. Those are just like byproducts of that as well. I think if 30 people made the game, we would still talk about it the way that we do. I just think it's an excellent game. I love everything about it. It is one of my favorites of all time. It's in my top 10, like no question, So huge love for the game, man. It's a game I have consistently came back to. I have been that guy who has been waiting for freaking, since 2017 for this thing to launch, when it was originally announced as DLC, and then it evolved into the full game for Silk Song, of course.
So I just want to start here, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this. You are when you review games on TikTok or any other social, you normally don't put a number to it. But here
Right.
on Co-op 64, we toss numbers around willy-nilly. 10-point scale,
Sure.
9 5s, 8 5s are also allowed, stuff like that. Is this thing a
Sure.
masterpiece to you? 10 out of 10, right?
It's not. It's Nick. It's not even debatable. Like it's not even. I doing this is fun because I just did a YouTube video. Literally, I think I posted it yesterday, and a friend of mine has never played Hollow Knight, so he played through the entirety of it. I replayed it again. So just to let you know, too, I am fresh off a new playthrough again as of 2 days ago. True ending and everything, like fresh off a new playthrough. So this is also very familiar to me. So this is kind of fun getting to it's like feeding back into that energy and whatnot. So, but yes, I don't do the numbers just for a lot of reasons. I don't, it's not that I don't have numbers in my
Yeah.
head. I'm just more so like, oh, like, is this a day one buy? Is this a
Yeah.
wait for a sale? Is this thing garbage? That's kind of more like my TikTok metrics, if you will. But like, I got some numbers in my head. But yeah, you couldn't convince me that this isn't a 10, and I could give endless reasons as to why, but 100%.
I'm gonna hop into my thoughts on this. I today
Yes,
was
it is.
playing Hollow Knight Silk Song on stream, and we can talk a little bit about that at the end of this podcast if you want.
Definitely.
But I kind of refrained from giving a score. I knew my score, basically the entire time. But I kind of just wanted to leave it for this podcast. And
Sure.
Jacob, you're the first person that's hearing me say this. I'm giving Hollow Knight a 9.5 out of 10. I think
Perfect.
that the fun part of what we do is at times put like I totally understand, especially what you do with the content that you produce. It is all about just those like you're trying to help consumers make purchasing decisions, and that's great. For me, putting scores to things allows me to align what is in my head and allow just to have a headline on it and make it easy for
Sure.
people. And for me, I reserve nines
Definitely.
for amazing games. That is what it means to me. Amazing games, like it is truly amazing. Things that come up in that conversation are things like Bloodborne and Mario Odyssey and like just truly amazing video games.
Mhm.
I reserve a
Yeah.
9.5 and a 10 for all timers. Some of the
Yeah.
best games I've ever played. And like I can definitively say that Hollow Knight is definitively one of the best games I've played. It is, I think, the best game I've played in the year 2025. And I love Expedition 33, and I love Death Stranding 2, and like I love these titles, but like Hollow Knight is just from a baseline perspective absolutely brilliant. And
Yeah.
the emotion that it drives is something that like I can't fully quantify, but it reminds me of why I love Undertale so much and why I love some just like quieter, simpler games that like really just allow you. And I know this is a dumb thing, and I say it for Elden Ring and I say it for Undertale, but like it allows you to be a little guy in a big world, and there's just so much
Yeah.
happening around you, and you just
Definitely.
get to go and be a vessel in this scenario. That's very
Mhm.
keen,
Literally.
but you
Mhm.
just get to be a vessel for this entire story and world to live around you. And between music, atmosphere, boss fights, character design, world design, Metroidvania design. I've played a few Metroidvanias. I've never been fully just like out like unbelievably impressed outside of things like Super Metroid. I think it's a brilliant game, but I also think I have a similar issue to Super Metroid as I do with this, and Metroid Prime. Obviously, that's a 3D game, but like similar
Yeah.
deal where it's just like the level design is so immaculate. But yeah, I love this game. We're gonna hop into why I love this game so much. We're gonna hop into why you love this game so much. I'm gonna start here though. And it's like I sent Jacob a little cheat sheet of like what we're going to be going through during this podcast. But the reason it's not a 10 for me is the bench placement, and it is something that comes up for a lot of people. It's the run backs. It's the
Yeah.
God damn it. Like, I really don't want to die right now because this bench is too far away. And sometimes you get the run where you go and just fly to, like, takes 2 seconds. You get back to your boss. You get another run in. But then there's the times where a bug accidentally hits you that you killed 90 times over and over again. But this time it gets you, and you just go, shit. And, like, you're just so upset with yourself because now you got to go into the boss fight with one less piece of health, or you have to use some of your soul to go and bring back that piece of health, but you wanted for spells, and it's just a little bit not ideal. I think that this type of game design it makes so much sense for 2017, that time, that place of like people, all the Souls games around it had long run backs, like
Yeah.
big run backs. You look at even Bloodborne a couple years ago, long run backs were the norm. You just did that. Like you just went through that world, and that's what happened. But I'm playing this game in 2025. I don't like reviewing games as like when this came out is a 10, now it's a 4. No, certain games hold up and are
Right.
classics and are brilliant to this day, i.e. your Metal Gear, i.e. Super Metroid, whatever you want to talk about. But
Side
like
note, that is another issue I have with point scales is issues like that. Like when I recently replayed Combat Evolved, I'm like, how do I stick a number on this?
yeah,
Yes, so I hear you there for sure.
totally, man. And so just going through this and being like, I'm frustrated with something that the game is presenting me. And so
Yeah.
I can't give it that 10 masterpiece score. Other than that, yeah, Jacob, just gonna shake your hand. I'm signing my contract to the Glaze team. We're gonna glaze the shit out of this
Excellent.
game for the next. Like we're just gonna go and
Good.
champion this game in the way that it should be.
Because
Because it's
yeah.
brilliant.
Because at the end of the day, it's like in my opinion, if that's the biggest problem you have with the game, like you're probably in good probably in good hand. Like
Yeah,
that's some good material. Like if that really is the biggest issue, of most things, it's like I get where you're coming from completely, and there's a lot of complaints that people have about Hollow Knight, the run backs, the bench placements, even some talk about like the slow beginning.
yeah,
I'm never one to just be like go heavy on the defense and be like I'm the glazer,
yeah,
no, those are perfect. It's like, but it's like for me at the end of the day, 10 there is this is again, everyone has like different skills. It's like 10 is not a perfect
yeah.
video game. There is quite literally nothing. Like 10
I
is a
agree.
benchmark of a masterpiece of like, especially in the Metroidvania genre. I've also heard this has been thrown around recently. I knew this was coming, is like I think I'd like posted about it or something, as I was like, now that Hollow Knight Silk Song is going to be popular, like we're going to get a lot of these like Hollow Knight's overrated, da 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 da. You've never played Metroidvanias if this is your favorite. And I'm like, dude, just I guess so everyone knows, like I'm a big Metroidvania guy, like Fist, Guacamelee, the Ori games, like huge big Metroidvania fans. I've played Symphony of the Night, all Super
Yeah.
Metroid, whatever it is, I love Metroidvanias. There's a reason I like this stuff. So a lot of those things, it's just like, just for me personally, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I just really don't care at the end of the day for
Right?
what everything else gets right. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
there's to me, like it just washes that for being a problem. Because really, in my opinion, like for you, like what you're saying, that really is only the case for me for like the first 5 to 6 hours of the game, maybe. Because even on this fresh playthrough, I don't know how, like, Royal Waterways,
Yeah.
that was me and my buddy had done like a least favorite biome. That was mine this time because it was a lengthy bench. I get there, these enemies split apart, they're killing me, and it was so frustrating. Like, genuinely the most frustrated I've been playing this game in a while. But after that, it just really subsided. Like, it really was not. So, like I said, but I don't think you're crazy for
Yeah.
saying that. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It makes sense just for me. It's like it's just really not a big deal. But I get what you're saying. You ain't crazy.
Yeah, I'll hop in real quick. I like
Yeah,
the place you're going with bench placement. Also, I like the next bullet point I have listed out is pacing of this game and the way that
yeah,
it is delivered from start to end. But even I'll discuss within that bench placement in areas I didn't like that much. When it came to level design, I felt like the bench to boss fight, even though it wasn't really a boss fight. Deep Nest. Just that entire area
yeah.
is scary as hell, super atmospheric. I love the atmosphere aspect of it. Like so much, like, because as someone that I don't know a lot of people that love spiders, but as someone that really doesn't like spiders, was not a huge fan
Sure.
of just dark scary area with a bunch of spiders and creepy crawlies
Yeah,
walking
yeah,
around. With that being said, I think that it's immensely atmospheric, and it's one of the few moments of the game where there is just so little music, and it
yeah,
allows you to just
definitely.
sink into that game and you're just like that
Yeah,
area. You're like, whoa, like this is awesome. But with that being said, there needs to be like three more benches in Deep Nest. Like you get the bench at the
sure.
start, and then it's like, good luck, buddy. And
Yeah.
like that's one of those areas too where like I did face Nosk or that
Nos, yeah.
yeah super. I'm not gonna lie, I cheesed the hell out of that fight, but super crazy fight.
Staying in that little
Yeah.
corner and
Well,
swiping up. Yep.
that was one that like I went and I needed a pill. Or by the way, finished the game in 25 hours, so short.
Okay, good.
Use guides for the back 15 hours of it. First 10 hours, I
Gotcha.
really said I'm going to allow myself to get lost in this game, something I don't normally do in
Makes sense.
Metroidvanias. And I loved getting lost. Holy shit, what a good time it was to have no idea where to go in this world and to have genuine discovery and to find a secret
Yeah.
corridor and to find a geo stash where you're just like, oh snap, like this is something that maybe not everyone's gonna find on their first playthrough. I really enjoyed that. Back 15 hours, I was like, we need a gas pedal. I have 2 weeks to beat this video game. Or at this point, for those who don't know, like with everything we do here at Code 64, and we have plans and other things happening that we can't miss. We don't miss them. We try to take our time with the game a little bit more. But those last 15 hours, any second I had of game time, I was using a guide, and it was
Yeah.
a great time. But when it comes to the pacing of this game, I'll say it. I think the first bit of this, it is a little bit slow, but it's not slow in a way that
Definitely.
takes me away from what I want in a game like this, which
Sure.
is it's slow, but it allows me to chew on the atmosphere. It's
Yeah.
slow, but it allows me to understand the mechanics in a way that when I start to pick up a extra ability or two, I feel extremely rewarded. I feel like the game just changed in a major way because it's so basic at the
Yeah.
start. I think that the
Definitely.
pacing too of just like the second the masks pop up and you start really exploring just all these different biomes and everything, you're like, yep, this is awesome. I like the genuine, easy to understand, back to basics, baby it down for a first playthrough of you got these three bosses, you take them out, you get one boss at the end, that's beating the game.
Yeah.
And you can either take that to be 20 hours or you can take it to be 60 plus hours. I don't even know what it's called. It's like the path of pain, basically. It's the black and white.
Yep.
Just
Yeah, it is.
effed up levels of difficulty, which like
Yeah,
I think is awesome that people go and pursue that and love that and everything. Take it as far
definitely.
as you want to. So I think the pacing in this game is actually kind of immaculate. I think it's a big win for this game, and it really does scale up properly as you
Yeah.
get these abilities and continue on. Do you have any gripes or praises with the pacing of this title, Jacob?
Yeah, I love the it's one of those things I understand, and especially like if you've not played Metroidvanias before, I think it might be a little bit harder. But like just like kind of what I was talking about earlier, it's like it's like it'd be like going into a Souls game and like complaining that you're dying a lot. It's like it is a Metroidvania that is quite literally like the nature of the game. You start with little to nothing, and sure, you can like and the issue is it gives you that freedom to go where you want. So if somebody doesn't get to the double jump and get the wings as early as somebody else, it can probably feel a little bit longer. So that's why I'm like, I don't get like like I understand where people are coming from. I really do. But just like again, at the end of the day, I love Metroidvanias. I can move through them in a pretty decent fashion, and it's just the nature of the game. I love seeing that the progression. I like seeing an area and I'm like, I can't get to this yet. Let's bookmark it, put a little pin here. We're gonna come back. Like it gets you excited knowing when you see something you can't do because you're like, I'm getting something. So it's like I always like that. And again, that's the idea of them. So once again, it's kind of like it's the same issue. I understand where people are coming from on that, but I'm just that is what I expect out of a Metroidvania at the end of the day. Because like dude, your movement from like beginning to end game is like night. I mean, it's night and day difference, like
Yeah.
absolutely night and day. And so it's like that's like I said. So I get people's criticism, totally understand, but like, especially after like this playthrough as well too. Like if you've done it more than once, like it is not as slow as genuinely as I remembered. Like I always like, oh yeah, like I know it's got a slow beginning, but this time I was moving through.
Especially if you sort of not just know the locations, but hey, I need to get a payload early on so I
Yep.
can really start to cook some of these enemies that
Mm-hmm.
they toss around. Getting that
Mm-hmm.
extra, I think I played with 5 masks for 70% of my playthrough. Um,
Wow.
and
Okay.
I played with 5 masks. Oh, you're gonna I might post it because it's such a good Twitch clip. We have Twitch clips now over on TikTok.
Uh-huh.
And I faced Hornet for the second time with 5 masks and a level 2 weapon. So I had hit Hornet 53
Wow.
times. Um,
Whew.
and it was excruciating. It was very difficult. And I literally, people were like, just go get the 2 ores. Like, just slow it down. It's going to
Yeah,
be worth your time.
that's funny.
And I'm somebody that's so okay with bashing my head against the wall until I beat
Dang.
it. And literally, I told myself this was 2 nights ago, so I was like, I'm gonna go and do that. And then the next morning, yesterday morning, my plan was wake up and do all the bullshit of get the ores and get an extra mask because I had like 3 of the mask fragments done. I just needed one more. I could
Of
just buy
course.
it too for like 300 geos. So
Sure.
I got through it. I was like, one more, one more, one more. It's 1 a.m. all of a sudden. I was streaming for 6 hours and I was like, oh, it's so
Yeah.
good though. What a fight. Yeah, like I didn't like that's the other part
It
where
is.
I will never knock a game for when I'm being stupid, especially where it's like, could I be like, this
That's
game's
totally fair.
really hard? I'm making it harder on myself. It's like when people, for example, don't use the parry in Expedition or don't want to do certain
Yeah.
aspects of
Yeah.
like other Souls games where they're like, I don't want to use a mimic in Elden Ring because then
Sure.
it's like it's there. They want you to use it, but if you don't want to, then you can't knock the game for being too difficult.
Absolutely.
Um,
That's like there's a boss in Hollow Knight that I don't know if you fought it. It's in like a secret area like the Fluke Marm. It's in the Royal Waterways. It's a very boring boss. It's actually like one of the literally like the only like 2 to 3 that I think are like the least interesting. It just shoots these flying creatures at you, but just like you said, if your nail's not upgraded, it takes 2 to 3 hits to kill them. But you want your nail upgraded to where you're slashing them in one because otherwise you just get swarmed
yeah.
and it's impossible and it's frustrating. But again, like if you don't know those things, then it's like you can get frustrated. But it's like you should have an upgraded nail. Like I think it's at least two. I think it's at least two, but it might be three
Yeah.
for that boss fight, or else you're just gonna get frustrated.
Real quick, I also want to preface it. You said, did I face this boss? I looked him up. I did not face this boss. I assume I
Dang,
faced very little of the optional fights in
dang.
this because I really was just focusing on mainlining it
Yeah,
at a certain
sure,
point. With that
sure.
being said, a big part of that was I understood I'm going to play basically 40 more hours of Hollow Knight esque things starting up the day after I beat it. Like it wasn't like I need to get more Hollow Knight because I knew that I had Silksong just down the road. But I really this is a game that I think that I don't get to go back and play a lot of video games. Like straight up, it's always
Yeah,
the next thing. You probably know this very well. It's always about the next thing. And when you get the
it
chance
is.
to go back and play something, it's like, well, it's to make content about it, or I need to go and do something else, or I like once a year, you're like, maybe I just want to enjoy one of my favorite games. But like,
Of course.
it's very hard to go and replay. I think that I'm going to replay this game, and I think that this is one that I could see myself being like, okay, like let's load up a new save, or let's load back the save that I just had right before the final boss fight, and let's just clear out
Totally.
everything. Let's just really sink into it. Not 112% it per se, but just like
Sure.
f around
But
and see
so
more.
I'm assuming you beat the Hollow Knight. That was your final
My final
boss?
boss was the Hollow Knight. Yes, I know. I know. I've seen the other boss. I know.
No,
Jacob's gonna
no,
punch me through.
genuinely
Yeah.
though, like that's like I would recommend it because there is a lot, and I don't even know if this I guess this can still fit, I guess. But like that's why I think I said it in a video recently is I'm like I think some people don't even shoot it at like or give it the full praise. They're like, oh, like I replayed it, I thought this was a really good video game, but like not like masterpiece. But like there have been 4 DLCs added completely free. So like I'm assuming you didn't fight Nightmare King Grim or King
Nope.
Grim,
I did not.
the Grim Troop DLC,
Yeah.
or like Touch the God Home
So
DLC or anything like
the
that.
last there's two locations that you really just don't need to go to at all. I assume that
Right.
that is a lot of the DLC content and a lot of those extra
Yeah,
boss fights and areas that allow you to just get sink more and more hours into it. Yeah, but
definitely.
I did
Because
none of that.
dang, because
Yeah.
I'll save it for boss fights, but the DLCs one is like that is my favorite boss in the game by like a landslide, and
Nice.
like it's
You can
immaculate.
say it out loud. I'm
So
not going to get to it for a long time
oh
just so
yeah,
that
yeah.
people
No,
can
yeah,
know.
like I said, it's literally like I said, it's the Nightmare
Oh
King
yeah.
Grim DLC like that. The Grim Troop DLC that is my favorite boss in the game, like for sure. And
Hell yeah.
then so again, I'm probably jumping slightly
Yeah, no,
ahead, but
hop in.
I'll save a
Hop
little
in.
bit. But but like so you know how you do the Mantis Lords battle.
Yes.
Well, in the God Home DLC, they have a upgraded one called the Sisters of Battle. So in the original, you only fight 2 Mantis. So
I've
in this
seen
one, you fight all 3,
Yeah, I've seen
and
people
it's
on.
awesome.
Real quick, can we? This is I don't know what I really do. Like we talk a lot about TikTok and a bunch of different things when
Sure.
it comes to the platform. Have you noticed the amount of people streaming on TikTok Live this past 2 weeks,
Yeah.
leading into Hollow Knight? Like
Yeah.
so
A lot.
so much content being produced about
It
this video game. It is delightful, but also like I think I've seen every boss fight in this game due to just
Yeah.
being like
That is
open the app,
crazy. I
it
know.
shows up. And so like when I
Yeah.
saw the Mantis Lord fight, which is my favorite fight in this game, which is the two of them, and
Of
I see
course.
that because
Fantastic.
it's just so fluid, lovely,
Yeah.
amazing. Um,
Yeah.
but when I see a third one, I go and I'm like, okay, how would this play? And like I'm literally thinking through like the patterns of like when, for example, they toss the two discs for lack of a better term, and then
Yep.
one drops down. It's
Yep.
like, okay, so you know how I stand in the middle? I wouldn't be able to get a heal off in the middle. I would need to slide to the right and then keep it going. And so it's
Definitely.
way more fluid. I'm like, that sounds
Definitely.
so freaking cool, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
would love to go and do more when it comes to the bosses in this game for sure.
Yeah, because there are added bosses in the especially the God Home DLC. There are numerous added bosses that cannot even be achieved in like the base game and stuff. So it's just like just having all that because like this was a Kickstarter game. So
Yeah.
basically like they just when they would get more funding, they would be like, oh, this was a Kickstarter goal. We're adding this for free now. We're adding this. So it's like now that they've got like the Void Heart edition, I think is just it's basically just Hollow Knight at this point. There's no complete edition of Hollow Knight. You just buy it and you get the stuff. There's just I have 72 hours in my main Hollow Knight account. Like that's
Save. Yeah.
where my platinum trophy is.
Yeah.
I have 72 hours in that. So
Uh,
and some you can start the God Home DLC by yourself too. So I've got a little bit of time in that one too. So
Nice. I just think that overarching, this is such an odd game for me to discuss when it comes to boss fights. Because when I think of
Mhm.
Metroidvania's boss fights, I think about things like Metroid Prime, where it's use the ice ability, or things like Super Metroid, use the ice ability. I think about Prince of Persia last year, and what a brilliant game that is. Like, and also
Absolutely.
tough as nails at times. Like, this game's not a
Yeah.
slouch by any means, but also it this game is willing to do different things at different times when it comes to the boss fights, where sometimes it is more platform heavy, sometimes it is just a all out brawl. Whereas I felt like the only thing that you got in Prince of Persia really was those brawls of, like, you get the new mechanic, utilize the new mechanic. This was unafraid to go and be stripped back and be like,
Yeah.
get good. And
Yeah.
getting good feels really good as somebody that loves getting their teeth bashed in and loves the Souls experience at this
Definitely.
point. Like, this is Souls in 2D. I'm a firm believer of, like, you have to call this game a Souls like, not just because when you die you need to pick your souls back up, but like
Sure.
when most people think about Souls like, Connor's definition is a hard as fuck video game, right? Like, just something that beats your ass. This
Right, right.
is hard. Like, this is difficult
It
to just get through
does.
the
It
main
is.
story, and not even when you are a moron with a level 2 nail fighting Hornet for the second time. It is hard just in general. And so
Yeah.
I love the
100%.
boss fights in this game. I think that they are extremely well designed when it comes to what you're actually doing, but also just like even weird ones. I think it's like umu, correct, yeah, where it's like this is just platforming, and it's really like
Yep.
not this like super difficult fight by any means, but it's cinematic as hell. This is the first one where it feels like a companion is like super necessary to come in and save your ass and help you through
Definitely,
this
definitely.
in this
Yeah, it's
world.
awesome.
And also just the arena is cool as hell. So like, just like, if it's
Yeah.
not doing the super hard thing, it's doing something else just freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that with those sort of mindsets, like, I can be like, bosses, a big green flag, a big check mark from Hollow Knight, just even this base experience. But once again, like, I am seeing these things on TikTok, I'm seeing the socials pop off with these difficult ass boss fights, and I'm like, dude, if I had time, if I went and just cleared out my calendar in a way that, like, once again, if this game wasn't announced for Silksong 2 weeks
Yeah.
after the date, if it was a month, it was a fucking month,
Good.
dude. I
I
I
know.
I would have had so much more time, but we had to get this done, and we had to get this podcast shot because I wanted to talk to you about this game. I'm just happy to talk about this game, which
Too.
I feel like this
I'm
year.
ha
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm just happy, like you were mentioning earlier, like I'm just happy. I'm happy how like it's being talked about. Like, is it not? You were mentioning like numbers earlier and people streaming. Is it not insane that before like this whole Silk Song, like I think it was like right as it got announced or whatever, the Steam all time Hollow Knight count was like 15,000 or something like
Yeah,
that. Like, that's insane, but they've said they've sold 15 million copies, so I assume a lot has been on, like, console and stuff, and obviously not everyone's playing it at one time
yeah.
too anymore, just since then, but, like, it bumped up to 70,000, and that was what it's hit its peak, and today, Hollow Knight peaked at 535,000.
I
How Silksong,
I think it got
like,
up to 700. Like,
freaking crazy. So like it is just really cool that a lot of people are like like obviously it's no like again I saw somebody complain about this online and I don't know why. But it's just like they're like, "Oh, like Hollow Knight's not this like super niche thing anymore." And it's like, Yeah, who cares?
who
Like,
gives a
it's like it's
shit?
a yeah, the game's awesome. Like
Yeah.
people are playing it now. Like who cares? Like no one like no one most genuine Hollow Knight, like no one's gatekeeping this thing and being
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is our super niche thing." Like, yes, it's very very popular now, especially with Silk Song. And I anticipate a lot of people are going to jump into Silk Song who probably haven't even touched the original. I can guarantee that
Yeah.
just because of how massive this train has been. Yeah, so
I'm all
I'm
for it,
just
man.
like I said, it's just really cool. Yeah, it's really cool that like
Once again, we're gonna get. This is just a Hollow Knight conversation. We wanted to sit down and talk about this game. I think that the aspect that I woke up today and it was obviously this fever, and we'll talk about it in a moment. There's just this large amount of fever in there. How cool is it that we get to have one of these moments with an indie title? even
Right, right,
even
right.
even Deltarune, or like chapter 3 and 4, was obviously a big announcement, and getting that Switch day
Yeah.
one was cool as hell, and like everyone's like awesome. But to go and have this fanfare that is only, in my opinion, seconded, it is only beneath the hype that I have seen for Grand Theft Auto 6 online when it comes to
You know what?
gamers that are not playing Call of Duty, which once I understand Call of Duty is
Yeah.
going to release and it's going to have a much higher player base than this, and Battlefield 6 probably will, and we're going to get a
Yeah.
shit ton of online videos and stuff like that. Great. I'm talking about just general video game conversations, though. Things like this feels like we're getting The Last of Us Part 3. This feels like we're getting
Yeah.
Elden Ring
Yeah.
Part 2. This feels like we're
Yeah.
getting the next
Like,
BioShock.
it's not even close. Like, it's GTA, Silk Song, and then whatever
Everything
the
else.
next thing is all the way down here. Like, it's not even I mean, dude, Steam
I
crashed this
just
morning.
awesome.
Steam, the Nintendo store, and
Yeah.
PlayStation crashed for 2.5 hours
It,
from a game made by 3 people. Like,
Connor and I are going to sit down on CGNC tomorrow and just like that's one of the major headlines that we got for the day. I My biggest thing is like, we'll get there. I want to get back to the Hollow
yeah.
Knight, like the game,
I
in a
know
second, but
it's so tough because we're recording the
the
day
day
Silk
of.
Song came
Yeah.
out.
But also I think that it might not be a better time to have a Hollow Knight conversation, and
Absolutely,
just like
absolutely.
talking about this franchise. With that being said, though, like, this is nuts. We'll get to that at the very end of this conversation. I'm putting
Yeah,
the pin in it. We will get to
that's a
where
good
we're at with
that's a good
Silk
pin.
Song at the end of the conversation. Let's hop though into just the atmosphere, music, locations, lore.
No,
You
no, no.
said your least favorite location is what? One more time.
The Royal Waterways.
Yeah.
That came specifically from this playthrough,
Yeah.
like my most recent one. I found that the most frustrating because there's like they've got those little guys, and when you break them, you kill them, and they break into two pieces. One flies at you, the other's crawling on the ground, and then they've got those like rocket boys that take 2 health from you.
Yep.
So it's like, and like you said, the bench was just far enough away to where it was irritating when I would come back to it as well. So it's just like, and part of it, I think when I first went, I was a little underpowered and I was trying to push through. I'm like, I've played this so many times, but there's just only so much you could power through. And it's like, no, you need that nail upgrade, like before you can do this boss, like completely.
What's your
But
favorite place in this game?
beat me to it by a dang second.
I'm
Again, I
sorry,
have
man.
all
I'm
these
hosting. I'm
answers because
hosting, dude.
that's okay. That's you're good. So the easiest, and this is what I just went over the other day. The easiest answer is like there is a correct answer, City of Tears. Like that is just that to me is the correct answer. But like besides that, I think it was Kingdom's Edge, where you fight the second Hornet fight, the Sentinel. I like that one a lot. Crystal Peak is also a really cool place too. But I think City of Tears is the definitive, just from lore, the music, the beauty of it. Just from a technical standpoint, it leads into like 6 different biomes too. So like just from that original place, it's kind of central to Hollow Nest. So, but other than that, like that again, that's I guess your quote unquote basic answer. But Kingdom's Edge and Crystal Peak are great areas to me.
You're such a jerk, dude, because you're just stealing everything that I would say. Like straight up. The answer is Sea of Tears. Like that is just like,
Sure.
I
I
think
think that is the answer. I don't think that's an opinion based. Like
that's the answer. And
yeah.
I don't want to be. It's really apropos. You can't see this. We have Bioshock Rapture in the background of this entire shoot right now for a little bit. It's a rotating background, so it'll go away in a moment. But when I think about atmosphere in video games, I bring up. I think Ken Levine does it better than anyone else. So I bring up Rapture and Columbia first. Those are my first two. Like those worlds feel so lived in, and they are so distinct, and only Ken can think about how to make that. Like that like the biggest praise possible. And then Bloodborne Yarnum is the other one that I constantly bring up. I think City of Tears and just the entire atmosphere you get from that location. There's a point that you must have seen where you're up in one of the large buildings, like you've climbed up this way. You're getting probably close to City of Peak. what was it? Crystal Peaks, not City of Peak. City of Peak because it's Peak just in general. Crystal Peaks is awesome.
That's right. That's right.
But you're getting up towards there, and you look down a telescope, and it like looks over the city, and it's just a
Yeah.
still frame with
Yes.
birds flying
Mhm.
by, and that you feel like you are in this huge area
Yeah.
by just this one still, and it's so
Yeah.
good. Like,
Yeah.
gosh, dude, like that area is just so defined. The statue that's in the middle of the basin of the entire
Yeah.
area is also just sick, nasty, like so cool, dude.
Yeah.
I
The
love,
always raining aesthetic is awesome. It's
yeah.
great.
Like now when I was playing this last night, it started raining here in Cincy around like 11 p.m. and I was like, dude, like I had to do like a run back to pick something up, and I was like, bet, like awesome, love it. And so yeah, I
Right.
think that's the location. I like Crystal Peak a lot just because that is the base game platforming area. Like there's so
Yeah.
much platforming. That's where you get your moves where you can just fly across the screen and everything. Which is a sick
So
move.
it's beautiful,
Yeah,
like back, especially when you do it in Crystal Peak for the first time, just visually, it's just, it's
nuts.
awesome.
And then you do get to that highest point in the peak, which is you get a pale ore. That's
Yep.
one of the two pale ores that
Mhm.
I
You
I got
do.
for that upgrade. And going through that platforming section and having the tension of these like crystals, but the difference between that and some of those subsections that are beneath City of Tears is instead of it being black and white, it is bright pink and the like
Yeah.
so vibrant. That I think,
Stands out so good.
yeah, it's so distinguished compared to the other areas that I just adore. Beat my time there, and when I had to go and do a run back to get that piece of ore, I literally went, great, awesome. Like I'm excited to go back to this location, which was not the case for some others. And then, yeah, Night's Edge is freaking rad. It just like
Yeah.
this is it feels like a key point in the story. It feels like a key point in the game. That
Yeah.
like allows you,
You get the king's, like, seal there
yeah.
too. You learn a lot of some of the lore there too. You get that dialogue with Hornet.
Yep.
So, like, just a very cool area.
And the bench location too of like being on the snow right before you go down, and
Yeah.
like you really,
Mhm.
it feels like okay, take the breath, and now we're going in. Like, and it is done
Yeah.
atmospherically. It is so well done. Um, I do have just lore mentioned.
Yeah.
Dude, I caught up on the lore of this game from 1 a.m. till 8 a.m. this morning, and there was about five and
Yep.
a half hours of sleep in there. Like where I finished up this game. I opened TikTok, like I said. There's been so many videos just going. Somebody made a great video where it was like, here's the lore in 1 minute. I watched that. I watched all the way through.
Oh, I
The algorithm said, give the kid more of that. He's gonna go and watch those
Yep.
videos. And I just got so many lore videos of these
Yeah.
two people were in a relationship. This is the brother. This is the half sister.
Yep.
This is the way that everyone is intertwined. This is Elden Ring lore, in my opinion, which is
100%, 100%.
which I love Elden Ring lore. I can listen and eat
Yeah.
up Elden Ring lore all day long. Do I need it to make the game better? No. Do I think Elden Ring is still a masterpiece without it? Absolutely. But does it
Agreed.
add to everything, the total product that is being displayed?
Yeah.
100%. And so, yeah.
All all I've done since the announcement of Silk Song's release date to today is just literally I drive like an hour to work most days, so it's like I just have listened to like Moss Bag's like hour long lore videos and whatnot. So yeah, just again, you don't need the game is great without it, but like it's just that little extra like sauce that just like that makes you want to come back to it more and just is like they're just like man like this is so crazy like it's just really cool.
Yeah. And then boss fights, we've touched on a lot of them. Like I said, I think the
Yeah,
Mantis Lords are my favorite in this game.
yeah,
I think that it reminds me of Mesmer from Erdtree,
yeah.
where it is just
Great
fluid and
boss.
you are consistently almost like it's about to sound really dumb, but you remember being a kid in like a small pool and you'd run around to make like this perfect like whirlpool effect. It
Yeah,
felt
of
like
course, of
that
course.
is how well this game you weave in and out, and it just all syncs together perfectly.
Yeah,
And it shouldn't work this way, but it works perfectly. That is the
yeah.
Mantis Lords to me. They are just so like
I
boss design excellent on display.
That is the game, that is the boss, I think, for everybody. Like, if for some reason it hadn't clicked yet or something, like, even if, like, you were struggling in the combat, like, that one, like, you're forced to get it there, and, like, that's when it all comes together, and you're making moves, like, it's the first boss in that way in the entire game so far that you've come up, and it's just like you're just forced to make, and it just feels so good, dude, because when you get it right and you can do one like without, because then you'll get risky, because at normal you'll jump over them, you're like, oh, like, there's two of them, I'm jumping over them, but then you'll get risky and you're like, I'm gonna do a down slash like while I'm doing, and then there's two of them and you're like, I'm gonna pogo both of them
Yep.
or whatever, and then you're like, I'm gonna pogo side slash go under like, it rocks. And then they throw those things at you, you can pogo on those, hit them
Yep.
on like, the flexibility of Hollow Knight's simplicity in its combat system, which like leads into the bosses too, is it's like, I've heard a lot of people say that, like, they're like, oh, like Hollow Knight has simple combat or whatever. And I'm like, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but like, I compare it to a game like Dead Cells, where like you cannot see anything that is going on in that game because it is just absolutely like diarrhea on the screen. I love Dead Cells, but there is too much going on, where it's like Hollow Knight takes the literal simple approach. It's like, oftentimes you're getting a singular nail slash in, before you have to back away. You got to time these heals right. There's not always a lot of sections for you to be able to. It's like, do you pogo? Do you do the safe route and dash? It's like, so it's like there's simplicity in that, but I think it just works to such a great effect in the boss fight design, because it feels like that Elden Ring and that From Software level, where it's like it's a dance. The Mantis Lords is no greater boss to represent like the dance aspect of, like, a good boss battle, where it's like,
Going everywhere, dude. It's nuts,
yeah.
man. It's so good. Last thing I wanted to mention here, it ties in boss fights, it ties in the lore aspect that we were just touching on, is the ending of this game. I want to majorly give props to this game in a way that it probably does not get it too often nowadays. I think the base ending of this game is phenomenal. I think the base
Yeah,
ending
I
of this,
love it.
this is so freaking cool, and seeing the Hollow Knight go and take their sword and stab themselves over and over again to take themselves out, because they
Yep.
don't want to be it themselves anymore. They almost want to help you through this fight as they are fighting away your character, is badass. It is
Yeah.
brilliant. And I understand that the true ending is better. And I did watch the true ending, and I know about the true ending. And I know that I'm going to get 1,000 comments up beneath this
Hey,
saying, Get to the true ending." I want to be very clear. Yes, I assume that it is better and plays better. But I do not want to skip over the fact that the base ending in this game is absolutely phenomenal and left me
and the
really satisfied.
cutscene is tough, dude. Like, it's tough, man. Like, it's a cool
Yeah,
cutscene.
for sure, man. How do you feel this way game? How do you feel at the ending of this game and the way it ends?
Oh, I love it. Like I said, I'm especially after you fight Radiance, because basically again, you've probably seen most of it and probably at least know how to do it as well. But basically, like, whenever Hornet is holding down the Hollow Knight, when you have to have 1,800 essence and you use the Dream Nail, you go into the Hollow Knight, then you fight Radiance.
Yeah,
So especially after that, like, boss fight too, it's so great, man. Oh my God, the climax. I will say the climax of the Radiance boss fight is probably what adds to that too, because you are quite literally climbing at the last section of the boss fight. He's shooting laser beams at you, and you are dodging, and you are climbing up, and then you get this final slash. It's just so rewarding and satisfying. And then so yeah, I love the many different endings for many reasons. It's like, I think the Dream No More is like my favorite ending, and again, that just feels like the right answer.
yeah.
But they've all got their own. Again, I like the base ending too. It's just tough, man. It's
Yeah,
tough.
I feel very satisfied with the way this game ends. The last thing I want to touch on is Silksong. Let's hop into it. Let's have a brief discussion on this before we close this episode out. Expectations, Have you gone to play any of it today? I know that you've been going around and doing a lot of stuff, but you are nodding your head for the audio listeners. So, what have you played of this? What are you expecting of Silksong at this point? Now that we have this information of two different things. One, we can talk about the video game's quality, and then we can also
Sure.
talk about the aspect that this game is going legitimately nuclear online,
To the
and
moon, yeah,
yeah,
straight
and
to the moon.
it's crazy. Where do let's start with the game itself. Let's start there.
Yeah,
What do you?
sure.
So how much have you played today, and like where are you
Yeah.
expecting this game to end up?
Yeah, I have beat two of the first, I say two bosses. Like the first one is essentially like your tutorial boss,
Yeah.
kind of like the grub. I think it's the grub mother in the first Hollow Knight game. It's again, it's like this is your like, hey, here's how she works. Here's
Yep.
how the combat works. This is not like meant to be this. It's not God of War 3, opening up with
Yeah.
this like
Crazy
so
fight.
but I got to like the second boss. I've got like one or two little abilities and stuff too. The one thing that I just even one thing that I wasn't expecting, but at least that I'm finding, that I'm glad of, but I think people are going to take it to get used to is they definitely made like Hornet and the Knight feel different. Like
Yeah.
even from the simplest aspect that like I never noticed. I didn't know this in the trailers because you have to play it to feel it. But like you're down pogo, you don't down pogo in Silk Song. You diagonal pogo, and that even that simplest thing changes a lot. But and I was like, man, I don't know how I feel about this. But when it works and you get it working, you're like, wait, this is sick. Like
Yeah.
this is cool. And it's like the different abilities and stuff too. The charms work different in this one from what I've seen. There's crafting in the game. There's actual quests like for you to complete as well too. Like there's a quest board for you to grab stuff on. So it's like I think they had a difficult task because with every sequel, you are going to have the crowd of like, oh, is this going to be just more of the same? Some people are like, I just want more of the same. If you just gave me Hollow Knight just some more, like I'm good, but
Yeah.
others like want it to be a little different, and I think they're kind of bridging that gap, at least in my opinion, really well so far. They're giving us the stuff that we loved Hollow Knight for, the great bosses. Really, really gorgeous game, by the way. Silk
Yeah.
Song is really gorgeous on like an OLED or an HDR screen too. I mean, gorgeous, interesting characters, world that you want to know more of, great bosses, but like it feels different, and I think that's a good thing. Like that, but it's not too different. But like the Knight and Hornet definitely feel different to play, and I guess I feel like I should have expected that, but I didn't as much, So
Ditto. I just everything you just said. Yeah, Hornet's different. And I like that it takes, in my opinion, some stones to do that. To have the gumption to be
Definitely.
like, yeah, like we're gonna go in and create something that feels and plays different, and it's not gonna be natural right away. Especially for me,
Sure.
coming beating the game at 1 a.m., booting it up at
Yeah.
1 p.m. So 12-hour difference going from a hard ass boss fight to being a stripped down,
Uh-huh.
powerless, abilityless Hornet. Very different,
Yeah.
but also very cool and interesting. And I
Yeah.
think that this makes for a much more interesting sequel. And then Jacob, I got a question for you, and this is the last question I'm going to pose towards you. Is there a chance in hell that Hollow Knight Silksong overtakes your beloved, your championed, GOATY
It's this
current Expedition 33?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to answer this. Not I'm not I'm like
I
just
know.
I don't wanna face this because like I oh man.
The
The
answer, by the way, the answer you can just leave
uh
it as there's a chance. There is because
There of course, but, like, I guess at the end of the day, oh, man, no, it's tough because like, both are good things. Because like, I not only do I think Expedition is deserving because of all the reasons I think the game is great, I just think it only is the cherry on top of the fact that, like, again, this happened in a year where we're talking about $80 video games, where we're getting overblown budgets, where we're getting massive layoffs, and it's like
yeah,
all this stuff that like the big boy industry is like, oh, hey, look, this is the normal. Expedition just mops the floor with it. And they're like, oh yeah, we used 30 people, we subbed out some of the work, and didn't have a lot of money, did this a fraction of the budget. And yeah, it's one of the highest rated games ever, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like, I just think it's such a great, like, you know what I mean? Like, it
Yeah, totally.
deserves, but what sucks too is Hollow Knight is doing just as equal amount of like freaking sauce, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I could talk about it for an hour. When that game was listed as $20, I was like, "You're if this would have been listed as 40, nobody would have batted an eye. Not a single person would have batted an eye at all. They
50
would have been like,
wouldn't have
"Cool,
batted an eye.
buying day one." Buying day one. 60, you might have had some people squinting. 40 to 50, they could have easily.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a game that has been 6 years in development heaven, it seems like. Again,
Yeah.
not development hell, development heaven. They're just like, oh yeah, we just been having a blast making it. It's $20. There's no pre-orders. Here we go, and it's
No review codes.
absolute monster. Yes,
Everyone's experiencing it at the same time, which is so
yeah,
foreign to this industry at this
yeah,
point. Like it was really funny.
yeah.
Like I go in, I'm about to shoot out emails and see what I could do with PR, and
Same,
then all of a sudden I
same.
literally get. I have very few notifications on my phone at this point. I'm normally on Do Not Disturb, except for colleagues. I have you on. Like you can always reach me. My parents can always reach me. Car and Brady can always reach me, and then I have a few people in the industry when it comes to new stuff, just in case we need to make a video, make an announcement,
Yeah,
whatever.
same.
Jason Schreier is one of those guys, and so when he goes and
Yeah,
tweets out, "Hey, it's not going to be for," I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be so cool for everyone to be experiencing it all at the same
definitely.
time and loving this." And so, yeah, I think that this is having a moment. It's having
Yeah,
a very different moment than Expedition 33 because Expedition
definitely.
came out and was different and nobody expected
Yeah.
it. This is maybe the
Everyone
most
was like, "Oh, this looks pretty
expected.
cool," you
Yeah,
know?
this is
Yeah,
one of the most expected video games of all time. And so I'm
yeah.
curious to see how it goes by the end of the year. Once again, I don't even know if Expedition's my GOTY. It might be. It's between that and DS2 in a major way. I go back and forth all the time. I see somebody finish Expedition 33 for the 8th time and I cry and I go, that's got to be my
Yeah.
GOTY. And then I see Doll Man dance in Death Stranding 2 and I go, shit, that might be my
That's
GOTY.
a
So,
That's me struggling with Silk Song right
yeah,
now, dude. It's the same
it's
thing, and
going
it's
to
like
be
at the end
fun.
of the day, it's a good problem to have, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Like I'm not pressed either way, but like it's going to come down to those two. I mean, there's no way about it. But I think both are doing excellent things and just are what is needed in this talk of like, I mean, we've already had pushback on like the $80. I mean, Microsoft, they straight up backed out of the 80. They were like, oh yeah, our first part. Oh, you know what? Actually, we're not doing that anymore. We realized the backlash, and it's just like to see a company, they could have gone super corporate. Like they
Yeah.
literally did not expand their team at all. They're like, we could have, but it would have lost the heart and and what we wanted to do. They're like, we never ran out of money, so it's like we just made what we wanted. These their bank accounts hit in the freaking
Millies. They were
major
they
big boy
they
digits
were
today,
rolling.
dude.
They were
I
rolling,
mean,
and then yeah, I can't. Their financial advisor must have just shit a brick when they saw the Steam concurrent. Because
I
they
mean,
all
dude, a Thursday at 11 in the morning, and you're telling me 500,000 people are like, you know what I mean?
on
This is not even
Steam,
the weekend.
on
Yeah, on
Steam,
Steam,
because
Steam,
you're
Steam.
also forgetting freaking Game Pass. This game is
Yeah,
available on Game Pass. The player number that is going to come out,
yeah.
I'm convinced we're talking a 3 million weekend one situation.
Oh
Three to
yeah, oh
five
yeah.
million weekend one
And
players.
And just for reference, Hollow Knight released in 2017 and in 2019 had sold 2 million
Yeah.
copies after 2 years.
15
And then it
million
jumped to
total.
15
Yeah.
million by like now. So
Which once
like
again, the indie game boom of the 2020s with
sure,
COVID helps that.
definitely.
But like, I really do think that this is. I'm excited. I'm so thankful we do have a show about video game news because
Yeah.
this is going to be one to cover for weeks on end as this number just continues to go up and up and up, showing the power and the
I just love
capability.
watching it.
Yeah.
I love watching it, man. I'm
It-
like refreshing it. I'm like, dude, like this is so
yeah.
crazy. But like I said, it's just cool, man. Like it
It,
just really is cool.
it,
Like
it's funny. I wrote a article as I do for the start of the fantasy football year to my buddies every year, and I talked about Hollow Knight Silksong in it with the mindset of same for the fantasy football year, but in our case for Hollow Knight, anticipation is one thing, but playing it is another. And playing Hollow Knight
definitely.
Silksong feels, and it is that promise of like we are so back. So Jacob,
Yeah.
with that, I will go and call it there. Thank you to the people that support the show over on patreon.com/scope64. You keep the lights and mics on. You allow us to do cool stuff just like this. You allow us to go and call up Jacob on a Thursday night and take time away from his Silk Song playing experience to talk about Hollow Knight 1.
I'm jumping right
Yep.
back in,
I,
baby.
I literally,
This,
I told Jacob, I was like, hey, man, I know you want to get back to playing Hollow Knight, so I'm going to not try to take too much of your time. But thank you once again, buddy, for hopping on.
yeah, dude.
But thank you to the amazing members that support us at the highest tier. If you want your name read at the end of every single podcast we do, you can go over to patreon.com/co64 support. Thank you so much. This podcast would normally be a Patreon exclusive thing, a bonus episode of the Casual Gaming Conversation, but because we hit that goal, we want to release this for everyone. So thank you so much for your support over there. But the members at the highest tier get their name read. Amazing members like Trace Hurd, Crumbly Els, Sir Shellas, Lumos, Ooh Gracie, Chuzar, MG Dunbar, Mr. Munchies, Farmer Spud, Rocket Tater, Nofi, Swampy Bits, Jaxie T, Tristan C, Sconzi C, Strachan 1978, Dickelberg Rules, Centuro, Hook'em Horns, Go Nash, Das Goopy, Neutral Sphere, Easton C, Stooby Dooby, Nuke This Kingdom, Crispy, DJ Zach B, Uli, Jacob D, Big Back, Mel Nate, The Patty Cake, Bear Pog, Cowboy Jesus, Yogi, Dom, Holden M, Colin C, Brock, Voodoo, Milky Sins, Dr. Pookie Bear, Alex the Golden, Andrew H, Master Days, Bad Fella, Only One Rufus, Drifter X1, Skirt, JMappy3, and Goops, Ali Ben Ali, Kingdom Hearts Sucks. Thank you to those members. We will see you in the next one. Jacob, once again, thank you so much. See you in the next one. Peace.